I'd like to welcome you to the Town of Pownal Select Board, Special Select Board meeting at 6:04, November 30th at 6:04, sorry. Sorry for the delay, we had a little glitch in the Zoom tonight, and was telling us there was no Wi-Fi, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. Board member roll call.
Angie Rowling.
Bob Jarvis.
Brian Harris.
Mike Gardner. Everyone rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Approval of the agenda, public comment, approval of minutes, warrants, correspondence, reappraisal RFP, the Muni Plan, RFQ, tree job estimates, trailer removal estimates, discussion and approvals, staff appreciation and holiday celebration discussion and approval, personnel policy question regarding holiday pay, animal ordinance discussion and possible approval, public use of town space policy discussion, public comment, executive personnel, adjourn.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Any changes, additions? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, aye.
Brian, aye.
Mike, aye. Is there any public comment, Hannah?
Not seen any hands.
Okay, approval of minutes, November 9th, 2023, select board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, corrections?
I think there are some corrections. Was that November 9th?
Yes, Bob, November 9th.
Yeah, so I just need to correct some of the dates and some of the information on the plan, on the Conservation Commission. It shows letters it might have just been a typo on November versus December, but when the letters are due, it says November 26, 27. I think what we decided was at the December 14th meeting, we would establish the clear goals, post that to our website along with a date certain. And assuming that we get those clear Pownal specific goals, then the letters would close a day or two before the next regular meeting, which I believe is December 28th, but also contingent on getting Pownal specific goals.
I think those are the dates I remember also.
Yeah, I think that, I was just looking at the calendar, Bob, I think that's absolutely correct. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that is correct. Any other corrections, changes? Sorry, I missed that. I have a motion on the floor. I have a second with the corrections. All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, aye.
Brian, aye.
Mike, aye. Minutes of November 16th, 2023, public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
The only thing that I want to say about those minutes are, we did reach out to, Priscilla did reach out to the E911 coordinator, and there is not an appeal process. Once the select board names, once we pass that night, there is not an appeal process. So I want to go on record to say that we did not know that night, but she did text me the next day. She did take care of it, like she said, and she let the concerned residents know that there is not. All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob abstain.
I wasn't here, so I have to abstain as well.
We'll bring it.
That means
We'll have to bring that
push
back.
the approval, yeah.
Yep, we'll have to bring it back. Mike, aye, but we'll bring it back the next meeting. That's fine. Warrants, accounts payable, November 17th, $25,200.93.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, aye.
Brian, aye.
Mike, aye. Accounts payable November 22nd, $3,995,327.99. And that was school and road taxes.
So moved.
Second,
Mike, did you say 3 million?
Yep.
Yep, 3,995,327.99.
There's road taxes and the school taxes.
Yeah.
Mount Anthony and Supervisor Union.
That I did, Bob.
That's it. A little bit of a shock, that's all.
Did you fall out of your chair? Are you okay? I mean,
We can't see you, so we don't know if you're still alive or not.
Yeah, 3,995,327.99 for November 22nd. I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. Accounts payable November 24th, $2,640.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion?
Just, that's for the PV one upgrade, so people are aware.
Yep. Which is our pump station.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. Accounts payable December 1st, $25,424.45.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. Payroll November 17th, $14,454.35.
So moved.
Second.
Any, discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. Payroll November 22nd, $15,022.46.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. Payroll December 1st, $11,706.59.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. Is there any correspondence?
Yep, I have three, they should be pretty quick ones. The first is from Horseshoe Farms LLC, requesting that the select board as our local cannabis control commission approve their outdoor cultivator to renewal license. So it's already been approved by the state. There is really no oversight for you all. It's just basically you're saying that he's in compliance with our zoning bylaws and that you approve his license being renewed. And then I just send an email saying that. So I didn't wanna just go ahead and send the email without you doing a formal vote.
It really is just a formality,
It is, but you have to vote on
but
it.
it's the process.
I can do, right.
It's the board's pleasure.
A vote to approve. Or I make a motion to approve.
Second.
And I'll vote for it too.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye.
So the second correspondence is from Joel, our highway foreman. He's been researching out the different price options for on-road diesel. I received prices from a few businesses, however, the most competitive were John Ray at $3.62 and GA Bove at the same rate. After talking with both companies, and although realizing both companies charge 30 cents over rack price, John Ray's rack price seemed a little bit to fluctuate a little bit differently than Bove, and Joel would like to recommend that we go forward with the Bove for this season. And he's looking for the board's blessing.
So moved.
We have John Ray right now, correct?
I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
I need more discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, abstain.
So the third one is one I told you all about in an email. We heard from Betty Palmer. She's on Washington Road. She's concerned with the dark area and the fatalities that have occurred there. She's hoping that maybe we'll consider putting a street light, especially on the corner. So just before I brought it to you all, I wanted to do the research, it's like $25 a month, there's no cost for installation. I don't really know what the town's policy is as far as where they go, where you approve them, where you don't. I do know we have them in quite a few areas.
I think that was all just under road crew purview. I know at one point they removed like every other one in certain areas for cost reduction.
Okay, cause
But I think it's always just kind of fallen under Joel's
That was a
purview.
while ago, right?
Yeah, that was a long time ago they did that.
and Green Mountain Power is who we work with to do
Yeah.
that.
And I think since then we've swapped over to LED. Back then they used to use like the sodium style ones.
I'd like to send that to Joel for his recommendation on that. That would be my feeling on that. I don't know what the rest of the board feels, but that's mine.
I agree. That's what I was about to say, is we should ask Joel what his recommendation is.
So if Joel says, yes, we should, then that's what we're gonna do.
Well, then we'll bring it back, you know, right, unless we want to approve it on Joel's approval, but I'd rather hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Back him into a corner, oh, we already approved it, so, you know, kind of, you have to kind
Yeah,
of.
because if there's some policy or whatever in place, he would definitely would know about it.
I haven't been over there in a while. Is there a sign that says sharp corner?
I did talk to Joel about it and he said it's not gonna slow people down.
But is there a sign?
I don't think.
I don't know.
I don't think so, Ange. I drive that periodically with a school bus. I don't think there's anything on that road that says sharp corner or anything. I think where Betty, this is my own personal opinion, I think where Betty's asking for the, street light in relationship to where the accidents have happened is, it's, the proximity is not real close. I don't think the accidents have happened by her house or by.
No, I don't, and I don't think she's asking for it by her house. I think she's asking for it on the corner so that people can see the corner.
The corner of Barber's Pond in Washington or the corner of,
I think on that sharp corner going up the hill.
oh, the one on the Middle Pownal roadside. Okay.
Yeah, so I will speak with Joel again about it and then bring it back.
I think that'd be the best thing. I think the best thing would be is, you know, and I mean, I don't wanna just shut Betty down either. I'd like to have Joel reach out to her, find out where she's asking for it, so that we're not just saying, okay, sure, let's put a light in, you know, here, there, everywhere.
Right.
Right? Maybe she really does have a legitimate concern.
And maybe he'll feel that signage is a better way to go.
Yeah, also bring up the signage too, even if we did both. I mean,
Right.
it's an improvement.
So I'd like to send that to Joel,
Okay.
Yeah.
please. Any more correspondence? Okay. Reappraisal RFP. We'll do these one at a time.
So the RFP submissions, I sent you all, we only had two. One was from Nemrick. The other was from, I believe it's David Buckley. His real estate service. The catch is that Nemrick provides our contracted assessing services. If we go with someone else for the reappraisal, they will no longer provide those services. We'll have to find another company.
So my question was, Buckley was $1,200 or 1,000, I mean, excuse me, 120,000. And then Nemrick was 184,800. Does that include all services that we get from them?
It includes so we pay around 18,000 right now annually for the assessing. We won't be billed for that separately. It includes those services.
So if we took the 18,000 out of the 184,
Yes.
and do you know if we would pay that one lump sum, or would it be over a period of 24 months? Like they have it set up for 24 months,
I think it
correct?
would be, yeah, whatever their bid is broken down as, that's what it would be.
And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
My question was the Buckley one payment, or was it,
I
or you don't
believe
know?
it's one payment, but it's, a different, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a different software, different methodology. That is the word I'm looking for. So their method won't necessarily compute with Nemrick services.
Okay, gotcha.
It's not the same.
So if we went to, sorry, let me put you on. If we were to use, the way I heard that, Tara, maybe you don't know this, but I'm hoping, if we were to use Buckley, what we have in place already may not work with what he
Yeah.
would provide.
It's a different methodology, and
Okay.
that's why Nemrick can't offer the assessing services anymore if we were to go with somebody else, because a lot of times there's conflicting methodologies, and I don't know a lot about it, but that's the
Okay.
gist of it.
And with, Nemrick's extra cost, do you think that would bring it up closer to 200,000? The way I was reading the extra cost.
Do you know what was on there as extra cost?
It was,
Well, we have that right here.
right, we have it right here.
It could.
I was wondering if that's what you were thinking.
We have over, I believe we have over 200,000 in the fund.
We do.
We do.
Okay,
Currently,
that was my next question.
because we've been putting money into the fund annually.
And I was just wondering how Buckley says that he could do it for 4/1/25, where Nemrick is saying it's gonna be 2 years. It's gonna start on 25 and go through to the 27th.
I think because of the methodology they would use. But I don't know that for sure, but I believe it's a faster. It's different, it's more of a simplified version, I believe.
I'm sorry, which one was faster?
I think she said Buckley said. he could
Buckley
get
is
it.
saying that he is gonna give us a final reading on 4/1/25, if I read that correctly. Where Nemrick is saying that they'll start in 25 and end in year 27.
And that's probably the other difference, is Buckley could start sooner. Whereas Nemrick probably has many that they're doing.
Yeah, their backlog.
Till 25.
Right. And also with Buckley, I read where he said that he would be going to houses inside and out, but I didn't see any of that with Nemrick. Did I miss anything, or?
I didn't see
You didn't
that.
see that either?
I didn't. That's an interesting.
That's
concept.
interesting concept, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but when you do reappraisals, aren't you supposed to go inside the dwelling or no?
I don't think so.
Residents, you don't, I'm not totally familiar with this, but I do not believe that you have to let someone inside your house.
I know in the
not.
past they have.
We went through that the last reappraisal where that was a common misunderstanding, and they do not have a right to come into your house. They can ask you, and you can let them if you choose to.
Right, but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Okay.
So you asked about the payment scheduling, it's right there. Monthly rate of $7,700 for a period of 24 months, beginning July of 20.
Right, that was for Nemrick, but I was wondering if,
Oh, okay.
David Buckley had a one-time payment or if it was a monthly.
So Tara, the 18,000 that they wouldn't be charging us, is that for the 2 years that they're doing the reappraisal, so would it be
It would be
36,000?
36,000.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
18,000 a year,
Actually,
right?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that when you said that before, Ange. You're right, that's an annual, 18,000 is an annual cost.
So that would be 36,000 off the 184.
Right,
So drops it down to
150.
148.
148, yeah.
Yeah.
Versus 120.
Yeah.
And then, just to put all of the way I see it, we would have to invest in a whole nother type of system if we were to hire the other contractor. Because it wouldn't work with what we're doing now and what,
Or at the very least, find another contracted assessor.
Right.
Currently, we have Jacob with Nemrick.
so for the sake of $24,000 over a 2-year period, which is 12 grand a year, right? Do we just stay with Nemrick in the system that we have?
That would be I'm leaning toward Nemrick for all of those reasons. And of course, you don't want the disconnect. That could cause other problems that might end up costing us money, where you don't have, anybody who wants a hearing or whatever. Nemrick is going to have to defend that, and that's what we're giving them the 18 for. I think we need to keep the same methodology.
Right, and that, so we're paying $18,000 basically right now for a contracted service every year, right? So who's to say that we wouldn't have to pay $18,000 a year if we were to hire the other contractor to have someone do the assessing anyway, or possibly more? So it could actually end up costing us more than what the difference is. Does that make sense, Bob?
It does.
Okay.
I mean, but those are unknowns, right?
Right.
But we know that if we go with Nemrick, we're using the same methodology that has been used and that they have used in the past and will continue to defend for and come back in and do for any one-offs that come up.
Right. Right. Okay, what's the board's pleasure? Anybody have any more questions? What's the board's pleasure on the reappraisal RFP?
I'll motion that we go with Nemrick.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Like I said, I think at the end of the day, at the end of the contract, it looks like we're paying more money, but I really don't think we will be. I think it will be less money.
Yeah, I think it's gonna save us a bunch of hassle.
Yeah.
Certainly a lot less risk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, I.
Brian, aye.
Mike, aye. The muni plan RFQ.
So we only had one submission for that, and that was from DCRC. That was as expected. They usually, submit for our planning projects. They're pretty much the best equipped around to handle those. So it's, gonna focus on Center Street and the village center improvements. I'll do studies and surveys and. So, like I said, they were the only ones that submitted one.
They've done a good job for us over the past many years. So I guess I'll go ahead and make the motion. I motion that we go with BCRC for the municipal planning grant.
I'll second that.
I agree. Any more discussion? I mean, they're very familiar with what,
Familiar, absolutely.
they're familiar with everything we're trying to do. And moving forward with everything that's going on. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, I.
Brian, aye.
Mike, aye. Tree job estimates.
Okay, so we struggled to get more estimates. I did get one that said that he couldn't, come anywhere near the price that we got from Greater Heights because of the location of the tree. We had a couple promise to stop by, but they didn't come. So Greater Heights is still the best pricing that we could get on that tree by the cemetery.
And I did look at it, and the wire does go between the tree and its branches.
Yeah.
So it does look like it's gonna be a tricky situation.
Yeah,
They were 3,800, right?
That's correct.
yeah, and that was to cable the tree next to it too, so.
But that was an additional
Was it?
500.
Okay.
The 3,800 was just the tree job, and then to, cable was an extra 500. So I make a motion to go with Greater Heights for that tree.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Any more discussion?
My one question is, do we have to, discuss the tree limb of tying that for the extra 500, or are we just doing the tree at 3,800?
Right, decide, are you doing both or just one?
What's your pleasure? My recommendation would be to do both.
Both at the
While
same
they're doing
time?
there to try to preserve that other tree.
And that's what Dave said. As
long as we can.
Suggestion.
So that would make the total 4,300, correct? It was 500, correct? I'm almost positive. For cable,
575.
575?
So the total price was 3865 with the cabling.
Oh, with the cabling. 3865 with the cabling. Then I make a motion that we do the tree and the cabling at the $3,865 at the same time.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bob, I.
Brian, aye.
Mike, aye. Trailer removal estimates, discussion and approvals.
Same kind of issue with that. We have two solid estimates. I worked with the trailer park management company, Patriot Holdings, to get estimates from Jeff Miller. He was at 6,000, and then Jerome Construction was at 2. But we would have to supply 3 dumpsters at 1,000 each, and then added costs if we go over weight. So basically,
Basically, it's
it's
6,000.
the same
Yeah, it's the
price,
same
but
price.
if it goes over, it could end up costing a lot more.
Well, yeah, it looks like Jerome's $1,000 on the surface again, it's $1,000
Right.
less, because they're, it's $2,000 plus the 3 dumpsters at 1,000 apiece, right?
Right.
Right,
But Jeff Miller is 6,000, and if he's over, he's over.
right. And Miller is who the park is going to use.
I also, my own feeling is, Jeff Miller is a taxpayer in the town,
And I think we
I
should,
will always give preference to local contractors.
absolutely.
and they're already trying to do that, if they're, unless it's a crazy amount, and I don't think it's that crazy.
No,
No.
And more importantly, he's always done a good job for us.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly, so, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the hiring of Jeff Miller to handle
I'll second it.
trailers.
Tara, can you find out from him when he can get that out of there for us, because
As soon as possible.
we can't do it till after the 9th, but I'm hoping it'll be the 10th.
like the 9th and a half?
I do not wanna pay rent on that thing another month.
If
No,
he can get it out of the,
12:01 a.m.
yeah, if he can get out of the 9th and a half would be great, would you just check that, but I have a motion on the floor in a second, all those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. Okay, staff appreciation and holiday celebration discussion and approval.
okay, so, last year we had it here and we had barbecue, and I wanna say the expense for the barbecue was somewhere around 700, I can't really remember, but we had all the staff come, it was a great turnout, and you guys also did staff appreciation, $50 gift cards. This year, so that I could enjoy the luncheon a little more, I was hoping that, we could do it at a restaurant, and then it's all kind of the setup and everything's all handled, we can all go and enjoy. I heard from a lot of staff that they'd like to be able to leave after and just, it's an extra benefit to sort of, okay, the day ends early for us, but we still get paid. So that was something I wanted to suggest also, but it's kind of in your hands. I do have a date of the 21st that we could go to Water Street if you guys approve it.
We wouldn't have a meeting on the 21st as a select board either, right? Because we do the 2nd and the 4th, unless we had to have a special, but we wouldn't be having a special.
Right.
My feeling on that is I'm on board with Tara, and the staff in all aspects as far as that goes. Go to Water Street, that's fine. Pick a different place, doesn't matter to me. 21st is a good date.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Do you want to set a limit on the cost? How do we want to handle that?
So,
I have no idea what the prices are down there, so
I,
your little computer thingy there, do 700.
I would like to stipulate that we as a town are not gonna be paying for alcoholic beverages though.
Well, I was just gonna bring that up because it's in our policy. That it's
it's 32 bucks a person.
so I say that we give them $30. I mean, that should buy lunch, right? Do you, $30?
We have $5,000 in the select board account. Okay? This is my feeling. Okay, I know exactly.
Do we still have 5,000 in there? Cause I thought we'd already touched it for other stuff.
No, not this year.
I think we go to Water Street and eat what they want.
No, okay, fine.
There's no limit.
You don't want.
How many people?
I don't wanna put a limit on, I do not wanna put a limit on it. As far as eating and whatever, I do, however, agree with if someone wants to have an alcoholic beverage that comes out of their pocket, the town's not paying for that.
So
And-
this is our policy, because I have a problem, and I've been in retail for 35 years, and I've always had to card people for alcohol and all that stuff, and it's a very serious thing. Takes one person to have one drink, depending on the person, and they could have an accident, and they could be legally, you know what, and that opens a huge liability for the town. But our policy says the town intends to maintain a drug-free workplace and workforce. The use of alcohol or illegal drugs and the abuse of prescription drugs are not tolerated at the workplace or at a work-related event. I would say this is a work-related event. We are putting it on for the workers. I personally feel that there should be no drinking.
Doesn't it go on to say that if you're behaving in a professional manner, isn't there something in there that does say that it can be at an event?
As a town employee, you are prohibited from working or presenting yourself for work while under the influence, the effects of illegal drugs, controlled substance, and or alcohol. This policy is designed to promote our goal of providing a safe and healthy and productive work environment. And it goes on, this policy, I don't see where it says that you can.
Okay. I'll have a look at it.
But
I thought there was, cause there was like this weird language, something about if you're at like this kind of event is kind of what it was describing, but I don't have the page number, so.
I'm not comfortable with employees drinking while on the clock. What you do on your off time is your business, but you're getting paid.
Leave after, all right, so,
But we're paying you for the whole day, so you're technically still on the clock.
yep, okay.
And it just opens a whole big door in case anything ever
I'm
happens.
okay with saying no.
I don't
drinking. But can we leave after and not go back to work?
Well, we haven't gone there yet, but I have no problem with paying you for the whole day. I have no problem paying for your
Meal.
meal. But
Okay.
I do have a problem with drinking
Okay.
because we, as a town,
I mean,
are
not only-
paying for it.
Right, I understand totally.
And
I do think we need to set a dollar limit though, because I don't wanna just leave it open-ended, cause I just don't wanna leave it open-ended. I mean, we gotta be,
I think,
mean,
even if
said
it's,
$1,000, that's $50
even if
a
it's a
person.
high limit, you know, if it's a high enough limit that they could order anything off of the menu and even an appetizer, then I'm not sure why we wouldn't put a limit in there. We do want to avoid any abuse.
We're not,
So I agree with Brian.
we're talking about a lunch. We're not
Yeah.
talking about prime rib dinners.
no, well, I'm thinking like $50 a person,
I,
plus the gratuity at the end.
Well, that should include the gratuity, right? You should be able to do that in 50, because if it was $40 and you tip 25%, then that's $50 and it's a lunch. I think that's probably enough. That's my thought.
I'd say
But
it's probably
how
enough.
many employees do we have, Tara?
20, up to
There's about
22.
20 or 22 there.
If we put a limit of $1,500, they're not gonna spend that. It's $68 a person, that covers the gratuity, it covers everything. Right? If we put a limit of $1,500. But how are we gonna know when we get, what do we do when we get to $1,500? What do you say? Oh, Joel, you're the last guy in line, guess what? We're at $1,485, bud, you can, you can order a salad, have that, okay? And you gotta get a water to drink, out of the tap. And I'm just being hypothetical, obviously, right? And I don't mean to pick on you, but you're here,
I think a 50 per person is plenty. I think, yeah,
I just think if you go to a $1,500 limit,
yeah.
look, if they're all responsible, they're all taxpayers, they're not gonna, everybody that works for us, come on, they're responsible.
Wow, I'm looking at their menu and their lunch menu, if this is a current menu, their prices are actually really reasonable.
It is
Water Street
reasonable.
does have really reasonable prices.
What is a burger, like $14?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, like the most expensive thing I see is a crab cake sandwich at 17.
Yeah. I don't see a bunch of meat and crab cakes.
so three crab
There's a
cakes
ton of
and
stuff for
$50.
under $15, like,
Okay, I'm not gonna push for it, but I did find what I was looking for in the policy.
All right, and it is
It
here,
is
it
in
does
there.
say reasonable, this is what it says. The limit responsible consumption of alcohol on or off I can't say that word. Municipal, thank you. Premises at a town-sponsored business or social function is permitted, but only if it has been authorized and in advance by the select board. So it is in there that they can have a drink.
Let's do one at a time. Let's talk about the meal and a limit. Right?
$50 a person is plenty.
Yeah,
That's plenty.
50 is plenty.
So if we have 22 employees, right, it's $1,100. Yeah. So do we wanna, let's make a motion and move forward with that part of it?
I make a motion that they can have their, holiday lunching at Water Street with $50 per person.
And be allowed to go home after?
Yes, and to be allowed to go home after, and that we will pay
For the rest of the day.
the rest of the day.
Thank you.
It hasn't passed yet.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? I think that part's pretty self-explanatory, right? And Tara will set up times and all of that stuff, and we'll move forward with that.
Do we want to give Tara permission to make reservations someplace else in case Water Street can't handle it on the day she chooses?
I already spoke to them.
Okay.
I see a motion on the table. Did we have a?
Yep, motion on the table in a second. All those in favor?
Angie, aye.
Bye-bye.
Brian, aye.
Mike, aye. Okay, now let's move into the gift card, because the next one's, the other one.
Oh, boy.
No, I'm not, I'm gonna bring it up last, because it might have some
Okay.
discussion involved, so let's go with the gift card portion first, how's that? I'm not gonna avoid it,
Perfect.
not at all.
So last year we did $50 gift cards. They were Visa cards, I think we did.
I'm all for that again. I think if you do just a gift card to a certain place, like a Walmart, for instance, maybe some people don't shop Walmart, you know, or whatever, I mean, you could do, whatever, I'm just.
Did you give American Express or something last year? And did it-
cards.
And did they expire, or after a certain
They had
time they
like-
start doing, yeah, okay. Yeah, then I would do a regular gift card,
Like a Walmart.
or something that doesn't expire, or use a percentage of it.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody gets a gift card and they don't use it, it's kinda on them, if it's a Visa card. But
Yeah, but they say if you don't use it within like 30 days or something, like they start taking like 1% of it, which is baloney.
Well, let's make more work for Tara. Give the employees a choice, Walmart or Amazon.
no, I think we stay. with
No,
that.
just make, you choose.
We're doing 50 again?
Yes, please. Since we're paying for their dinner and
take
we're
a
paying for the
motion.
whole day,
It's great.
I'll, entertain a motion for that.
I make a motion that we give them all $50 card to wherever Tara chooses.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, aye.
Mike, aye. Okay. Now let's talk about the alcohol policy. Our personnel policy does state that it certainly can happen. In our personnel policy, there is a clause. So with that being said, what's the board's pleasure?
I'm not comfortable.
I'm not comfortable with it either. Once the lunch is over, if people want to stay down there and have a few drinks on their own time, that's their business. But I'm not comfortable endorsing consuming alcohol on an official town function.
At the risk of getting people mad at me, I agree. So, it's just, I'm just not comfortable with it.
Who determines,
They're gonna have to drive out of that restaurant to get home.
who determines when the town sponsored portion of it is over.
Whenever the workday ends, when's the workday end? 3 o'clock? If we're paying them for the.
Well, what time are you planning on starting? Noon? All right, I say the luncheon is from noon to 1:30. Then after 1:30, you are all free to leave with pay for the rest of the day, but your workday ends at 1:30. How's that sound? That gives an hour and a half for lunch. That's my compromise.
I'm listening.
I'm looking at you, Mike, for your opinion here.
No, my opinion is that, I have a mixed opinion. Okay, I agree wholeheartedly, about being on town time and not having alcohol consumption. But I also think that we have some incredibly responsible people who work for the town, and we put them in some pretty precarious situations, and they're making the right decisions in those situations.
And the liability is on the restaurant.
And the liabilities on the restaurant to overserve. And if we can't trust the employees that we have to do the right thing and not overindulge, then I don't want them working for me.
We all have CDLs also, so.
The limit is way different.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, not everybody has the CDL, I don't know if Tom does or whatever, but when you have everybody down there, Ellen and so on and so forth. I just think that we put a lot of our employees in some situations where, yeah, we're home with our heads on our pillows. And I'm not talking about just the road crew, Darcy's crew, different things, Tom. I don't know what he does in the middle of the night, whatever. That's just my line of thinking. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. And it doesn't make what you guys are talking about wrong either. It's just my opinion. And that's where I stand. So, but I'll entertain a motion and we'll move forward. I think the, hour and a half is not an unreasonable time frame to sit down and have a burger and a ginger ale or whatever you're gonna have, and at 1:30, line up a couple beers. I see that side of it. I see both sides of it, Brian. In my own mind, I see that part. But it's just
They could
me.
use their gift card on the way home and get a 6-pack.
For the night.
It's Walmart.
Yeah, they have to go the wrong way.
There you go, get it for
But everybody
the.
gotta have a good credit Dwyer's.
I'll entertain a motion, however it is, and we'll move on. We've done everything else pretty good here, so. Nobody wants to make a motion?
I'm not sure what motion we're.
Yeah, I personally, I'm just not comfortable endorsing consuming alcohol on company time. And like I said, give 90 minutes for the lunch, and at the end of the lunch, you're off the clock. Do as you will.
Make that a motion.
All right, I make a motion that the luncheon is from 12 to 1:30.
No drinking alcohol.
Yeah, no consuming alcohol during.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Any more discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, no. It carries.
Thank you, guys.
I think that covered all of that, right? We're done with that
We're
portion?
done with that, we can move
Huh?
on.
I knew that one would take a little bit of time, that's why I saved it for last.
This one might too, it's a.
Yep, personnel policy question regarding holiday pay discussion. And everybody got the email on that, right?
Yep, so we have some part-time employees that are on call. The personnel policy doesn't really address the part-time pay for them, other than to say that they'll be paid for holidays in accordance with the days they usually work. So if they usually work, let's just use this as an example, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a holiday falls on a Friday, they wouldn't be paid for that Friday.
So can I just interrupt you real quick and ask you where that is? Cause I tried to find that in here and I couldn't find that.
I sent you the pages.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that if they don't work. Cause right here it says full and part-time employees will receive the following paid holiday leave.
No, it's right.
Yeah, I read it at home and I still don't see where it says that. That they have to, it's their day on or day off. I don't see
I
that.
think it says something like in accordance with their normal work.
Top of page 15.
It's right here on page 15, I think is what you're looking for, Angie. Employees will receive holiday leave pay for the number of hours in the employee's typical workday,
Oh, that wasn't on my page.
on which day the holiday falls with the employee's regular rate of pay. Part-time will receive prorated holiday leave pay based on the number of hours the employee is regularly scheduled to work. That's holiday leave.
What page you on?
15.
There's the top of page 15.
So it's tricky because you might say, okay, definitely a wastewater employee who doesn't work on Fridays normally wouldn't get this pay. But he is on call and we expect him to come in
So when somebody gets,
on those days.
when somebody's on call and they get called in, don't they get automatically paid 3 hours only if it takes them 15 minutes?
Yes, and if it's on a holiday, they get time and a half automatically, but that's regardless of that. For an example, Wendy works Monday through Friday every week. She would get 4 hours for a holiday, cause she's part-time, but she works every day of the week. Tom and Ron, they're part-time, but they only work the days they're open. So they don't normally get Christmas or Thanksgiving or a lot of those holidays because they're not open on those holidays.
Yeah,
So with Jeff, we were trying to be fair and not give that holiday. But, they're feeling that that's not really that fair because he's on call and he's expected to come in.
But if he's on
If he's called
call
in.
and he gets called in, he automatically gets 3 hours plus time and a half. If it's a holiday, correct?
Yes.
So does he get, and I should know this and I don't, and I apologize for this. Does Jeff get paid if he's on call tomorrow? Let's just say he's on, does he get paid a certain amount for just being on call? Or does he have to get called in to get paid?
He has to get called in to get paid.
Anything?
Yeah.
He does not get any pay just for being on call? Nothing?
No, that's new.
No.
I think that's why it's 3 hours automatic if you get called in.
Okay, okay. I think in my own mind, I can separate our part-time, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Our part-time road crew, if there is any,
No, there isn't.
and our part-time,
Not in this.
right, and our part-time wastewater from the transfer station, because if Christmas falls on a Saturday, no one expects them to work on that day anyway.
Right, and then.
But if Christmas falls on a Saturday and Jeff is the on-call guy, and we'll use him because that's who we're talking about, he is expected to go into work and fix whatever is broken or whatever the problem is, right? Is that right, Joel? I'm not,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
that's what I thought. Okay,
And then in that case, is it time and a half or is it holiday pay? And is there a difference?
So
Holiday is a regular rate.
Yeah, so you get your holiday, so a full-time employee would get 8 hours holiday, and then they get time and a half for at least 3 hours that they were called in for, if it's on a holiday. But Jeff, a lot of times doesn't have full-time hours, so when he gets called in, those hours don't end up being overtime for him, so it's not at time and a half.
Oh, this says he'll get time and a half for it.
That was my question.
On a holiday,
Yeah, that's what we're discussing, isn't it?
regular call in. It's just straight time for him usually because he doesn't go over the 40 hours. Make it overtime.
I think,
Well, that's two separate discussions.
Okay.
I think we have to change this personnel policy to allow us, if we so choose, to pay him or any other employee. I don't think we can override our personnel policy the way it's written right now, and the way it's written right now is he doesn't qualify. But I also don't have a problem with rewriting the personnel policy so that in the future, Jeff or any other part-time employee like that qualifies for the pay and the stuff we're talking about, the holiday.
Like, is there a way to say, like, if you're on call?
Right, I think we'd have to rewrite it to.
Right.
And I'm all for rewriting it. Okay, I really am, because it's like, look at, quality employees, there's not a wait line,
Right.
okay? There's not a waiting line out there to get somebody in line, and then you gotta train them. And it doesn't matter to me whether they're, working the road crew or the wastewater or any of it, to be honest with you. There's just not a waiting line.
Is there work enough to have Jeff work full-time hours?
I don't know, that's,
Or does he choose to be part-time?
I don't know, that's a Darcy question.
I was gonna say, if she's got the work and he's willing to work the hours, I'm fine with letting him go to full-time.
But that's not the issue. The issue is that we need to change the policy.
I wish this had been brought up before now, so that we could have this policy changed, so that we can pay.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
It didn't come up until.
I know.
Veterans Day, and then.
Right, I understand.
Then Thanksgiving and the Friday after were also.
Right.
Holidays for us.
Right, no, I understand that.
But that's why there's policies for,
And it makes it hard because, an auditor will take this policy and then they look at our timesheets and, okay, this person.
Well, that's why I don't think we can pay him now, because then we'll be back in that.
I mean, if you do approve him getting those holidays, you just vote in open session to approve that so that I can give the minutes to Ellen and we will pay him. And then we can change the policy.
I think we need to change the policy first.
Can we give him the money for the vacation time before it's changed, or do we have to wait until after the policy has been changed?
Yeah, I don't know. Depends on what they decide.
We have another meeting before the Christmas holiday comes up, couple.
Yeah.
14th.
Well, at least one. Let's research that out and see if we have to change the policy first, as Hannah just suggested, and like we've been talking about. Or if we as a board could say, at least for the Christmas, I mean, I don't think we can go back and do the Thanksgiving and stuff like that, but at least moving forward, we could take care of our employees.
Yep.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Does that sound reasonable, Bob?
It does.
What did you want to say, Hannah?
I was just wondering about going back, because we did kind of talk about wondering that if it was necessary, because we have paid him for other holidays that have like fallen on a Friday before. It was just caught this time.
Right.
Let's research it. Let's research it out. Look, that's a great question. We'll research it out. If we can make the motion and we can pay Jeff for Thanksgiving and whatever else, then that would be a board decision. It either goes or it doesn't. right? But if we know we could do it, at least it gives us that option, right? And then I think we need to vet this personnel policy moving forward for this specific, situation, which is gonna, it's gonna keep coming up, right?
Is it possible, I think you guys could vote tonight on whether you should pay them for Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and the day after. And then I'll do the research on the rest of it, because I can justify it by your approval in minutes to Ellen, and that goes with this timesheet.
Would it make a big difference if we waited until we could say on the 14th? I mean, it's 2 weeks away. If we could say, if we find out that we can for sure and not get our butt in the sling.
Okay.
And then on the 14th, I don't disagree with you, Tara. I don't, obviously, I don't have a problem paying them personally, but hey, I just lost one other vote, so that's fine. But I don't have a problem paying. I just want to make sure that we don't get in a situation where we've been in before, not us, but past boards. So, because they weren't adhering to a personnel policy or whatever. So if we can do that and bring that back to us on the 14th.
Okay.
And then we can make a motion and either pay them or don't pay them.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
And I don't like Veterans Day and Thanksgiving and Christmas and Thanksgiving, the day after that. I'm not opposed to it. I just want to make sure we do everything.
Yeah, and then just the language is specific on-call staff.
Yes.
I'll add that in.
Yep.
Okay,
And then we'll rewrite our personnel policy for that specific stuff.
okay.
But if
How
there's a way
many
around,
how many part-time employees do we have?
Not
So
many.
we have 22 total, right?
Yes, but we've got Wendy, Tom, Howard, and Jeff are part-time. And like Leonard is part-time.
So
but I mean,
wouldn't it be easier,
That's the other thing to consider, I'm sorry to interrupt. Someone like Leonard, is he on call? Is he hourly, cause he's a part-time staff, that just kind of dawned on me too, so please take that into consideration as we continue to discuss.
Could I just say one thing about that? I think when you're on call, it's a whole different ballgame than, Tom and Ron, I don't think have an emergency. Well, I guess they do. I don't know.
Right, like Wendy wouldn't have an emergency.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the on-call part that Angie brought up, I think, having an on-call paragraph in that personnel policy
Or-
would cover.
we could change, because it says full and part-time employees will receive the following paid holiday leave. And it lists all these. If we change the policy to full-timers get the 8 hours and part-timers get 4 hours.
Well, yeah, we gotta do a little work on that.
I mean, and they get paid if they work or not.
Right, and I don't wanna get into a whole bunch of discussion on that part of it
Right,
tonight.
but I'm just
we need
saying,
to
we
look
could
at
do it that way and get rid of the whole other part. And we wouldn't be in this situation again.
Right, I don't wanna get into that, that's why I
Right.
think we need to look at it. But I think if we find out if we can do it and bring it back here the 14th, and then we vote as a board, yes or no, then we change the policy after that, we got a little time to change it.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright? Annual ordinance discussion and possible approval.
I sent it all to you, we have discussed it at length, I'm not sure if you have anything else that you wanna discuss.
And this version here was vetted by,
Yep, that came from Mr. Fisher. Just recently.
I know you've had a lot of, done a lot of work on this, Bob. Have you looked at this? I'm sure you have. Do you have any?
I have looked at it. I don't have any concerns. It looks, the formatting is all cleaned up and everything looks right. The things that we took out are no longer there. The things that we changed are changed. Now I didn't go through it in detail, but I did glance over it before the meeting.
Right, and I did
It
the
looks
same
like those were
thing.
the things.
Yeah. Okay, so, everything is in here that, like I said, I didn't, kind of went through it, but not crazily, because I knew Bob would. I had a lot of confidence in you on this one, Bob.
Let me, the one thing I think I just need to look one more time. I've got it right in front of me. I just want to get down to the penalties.
Yep, that's right, exactly where I am right now.
First offense, 30.
Guess I should have told you something.
Yeah, that looks fine. We started at 35. I think that's what we agreed, and then it's doubled for each one of them. What I don't see is the language on the timing. Like, I mean, if you live in Pownal for 20 years, are you going to be on your 150th?
It says, for the purposes of determining the sequence of offenses, subsequent offenses shall be those that occur within the 12-month period.
Oh, yes. Yep. I see it.
Exactly.
Yep. I expected it to be up more.
Yeah.
So it's not a calendar year, it's a 12-month period.
Anniversary of the first offense. That's correct. And
Okay,
that's what we talked about last time. That's what we talked about when we
Yeah.
discussed it last time.
yeah,
So if the board chooses to adopt this, I'm gonna go get it off my printer so you can sign it and I can publicize and start the ordinance process. 60 day.
I'll make a motion. We adopt pass the dog ordinance, the dog ordinance as is. And I'm sorry, that's the animal control ordinance.
yeah, it's the Town of Pownell, Vermont Dog and Domestic Animal Ordinance. Is that the actual title?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? I think it's been beat around, but I think it actually came out to what we've kind of agreed on having anyway. All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. Finally.
That's, yeah. What a week.
Yeah, finally.
But only one spot that we have to sign, right?
Yeah.
Brian?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Bob, I know you put a lot of time on this, Tara. Leonard put a lot of time in on this. There's a lot of effort that's gone to this, and I think at the end of the day, it's,
Somebody just got to fill in the day in the wording.
it's what we're looking for and what we, agreed on back and forth in discussion. So again, thank you, everyone who worked so hard on that. I did not have anything to do with it. So. Public use of town space policy discussion. That's something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, and we're coming back tonight with some thoughts and feelings. I asked everyone to come back.
I couldn't find anything about other towns or anything of prices for usage. The only thing you could find is about firehouses. Those are run, separate.
Well, sort of.
See,
Somewhere. Did you have anything, Bob, to bring back on this one?
well, the things that I thought about and and of course the board may or may not agree. But I'm thinking that municipal spaces, the spaces that Pownal owns shouldn't be used for any political activity. I think it shouldn't be used for advocacy, because that is even though you can call it not political, it becomes political, and not for profit. But other than that, I think, if it's I don't want to shut out like seniors who want to play bingo or those kinds of things. But I think no advocacy. I think no political meetings. and then no for-profit organizations or no for-profit activities. That's what I would suggest. And then, but how do we word that, and how do we get that into the policy is probably a VLCT or Bob question.
Brian, did you come up with anything?
Well, Bob took it a lot farther than I was gonna. Honestly, I'm starting to lean of the opinion that we should the town facilities, not the greens, the facilities should be official town and town-sponsored events only. That way it takes the ambiguity out of it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, but like, well, what about this group versus that group? Just draw the hard line. Like if the town sponsors the event or endorses it, great. That means it forces the select board to kind of approve everything that goes through. Like we're doing the tree lighting. That's an official town function.
That's a good point. I think, Brian, you're making good points and you're swaying me a bit.
That's swaying me, because it gives us, this board and future boards, the authority to either approve a function or not, right? That's what
Yeah.
is that what you're saying, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
So, I got a badminton group that wants to use it for whatever, a clinic on the inside or whatever. I bring it to the select board and I don't know where that came from, where did badminton come from, but whatever, anyway. And then you could say yes or no, right? Do I want to do a video?
Probably something that into a community-wide event, like Parks and Rec commonly does it when we do functions down there at the park down there. To me, it kind of falls under the same thing.
I think it's, and Brian, if I could put words in your mouth, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it, because if I understand it, I don't want to be in a situation where the board picks and chooses what is and isn't good on a one-on-one basis. It ought to be a policy, and that's what I liked about what you were saying, Brian. Municipal spaces are for municipal activities, right? I think that's what you were saying. Greens would be a little bit different, but inside the buildings would be for municipal purposes. And that's where a tree lighting is an actual event that we're sponsoring. It's not, I don't want to be in a position where we're deciding whether or not, your group is worthy.
But we're sponsoring it in partnership with two other groups though. The tree lighting.
What's that?
The tree lighting is in partnership with two other groups.
Right, but the town is one of them. So, so that becomes a town sponsored activity.
But my point is it forces the select board to approve each one. Like this was something that the select board had to sign off on.
So let me ask you a question, Brian, and actually for you too, Bob, because I'm a little confused now with this one. So if the Little League, whoever the president of the Little League is, wants to use the old town office through winter months for videos and playing baseball.
Okay.
Right? So I think what Bob is saying, and correct me, I'm not putting words in your mouth either, Bob, but what you're saying is that wouldn't necessarily be a select board or municipality sponsored event, right? That would be something that's put on by you if you're the president of the Little League, right?
Okay.
And I think what you're saying is if you brought it to the select board and the select board gave you the blessing to use that building or this building or whatever for that event, that's what you're saying you think should be in the policy.
So to me, it's funny you mentioned the old town hall, because the only reason I say this is Tara's already been working on wanting to utilize the town hall.
I was gonna jump in here.
For separate public events.
Dave, it's not.
So to me, that would almost be a separate issue. Because we were already discussing using the old town hall for other functions. But I totally get what you're saying. So I would say it would, at that point, it would become like say I come before and I say, I want to host a town event in conjunction with the town, and this is my idea. It becomes the select board, no, that sounds like a great community outreach, let's do that. Or the select board can say no.
But wouldn't you want a policy in place and then an application, and then the application has to come to the select board for approval?
Yeah, well,
As part of the process? That's sort of what the way I saw it going, was that you.
no, yeah, I see the way you're going, so I guess,
The policy explains everything, and then the application has all of the applicant's info and everything, the purpose of the event, all of that stuff. And then that gives people the, you know.
and it just puts us right back into where we were before. All right, pretty much.
So if we said, if we limited, if we limited the use of municipal space to, municipal activities, town and school activities, because there could be a school sporting, a school team that wants to use it. Fire and, you know, if the fire and rescue, if they wanted to use it for something. And then, what's the other one I was thinking? Oh, and Little League. So any town sporting events. If we limited it to those things, then I think we're less risky. And then I think, but we also need to, I believe we need to say things like no advocacy, no for profit, no overtly political meetings, or no political advocacy. Because we do need to make sure that we are not bipartisan, that we're nonpartisan completely. And because that's the nature of municipal politics, right?
The advocacy piece is a little tricky for me. Can you explain more what you mean? Because like, for example, the Child Advocacy Center, like if they wanted to do some sort of a workshop, would
Well,
that?
that's where, well, I don't want to get into political discussions on it, because then I'm exposing my own political beliefs, and we shouldn't be talking about politics. But a lot of those things are labeled in for political advocacy, right? I mean, you can make an argument. I'm going to catch a lot of flack if I make that argument.
There are
But if I
agencies that are in our town report requesting money, or agencies that I would plan to partner with for the community center, so that's why I'm concerned about it is all. Like the Child Advocacy Center out of Bennington is just one perfect example. So I just want to be careful about using the advocacy word like that, I guess.
So you just blew one of my points out of the water. That's okay. Because I agree with you. On some, you know.
Well, this is why we were all supposed to think about it and come back, because we're all gonna have different ideas and.
But we did think about it, okay, it opened the
I
discussion.
think some great points are being brought up by everybody.
One of the, I agree with Bob on no open, you know, no open political events. You know, no political party can use it for an event of their own. I also agree with whoever uses the facilities has to be a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
And they have to file the form, like everybody else. One of the things that I thought about, and you just blew this one out of the water with your child advocacy group out of Bennington, was I was kind of leaning towards, people or groups that wanted to use it had to be, Pownal groups. But I see
Yeah, that really would.
I know, because that child advocacy group, just for example, is something that's needed,
It's an opportunity to invite services that are only offered in Bennington to be offered in Pownal.
Right.
And give a space.
right, so that's what I mean, you blew me up. No, that's okay.
Well,
That's why we're here.
Well, that's what I was saying, the whole thing about the old town hall, like we were pursuing a completely separate path for that space. That's why I was kind of trying to draw this distinction between
Like this.
this and that.
Yeah.
But I don't think we wanna have two policies. Right? I don't think we wanna have.
No, and that's, yeah, that,
Right? I don't think, I mean,
that just makes it more complex.
exactly. You wanna have one.
I was just trying to keep it simple.
Oh, I know. Me too.
But the thing I'm struggling with is where's the limiting principle? It's like we can talk about child advocacy and then anybody who opposes that is then against children, which is not really fair. Because if I'm opposed to the advocacy, that could be any, why would child advocacy be okay, but some other advocacy that drives a political wedge, but they're framed as advocacy groups. That's why I didn't want the advocacy, because it creates gray areas, and it really does. It creates huge gray areas. I'm trying not to use any organizations in my examples, but you can all think of organizations that build themselves as advocacy and are advocacy, but they're advocating a position that a lot of people disagree with. And even the safety net kind of stuff, you can make a strong argument that the welfare state since the 60s has created more poverty, not alleviated it, and that's where it becomes political, and that's why I was saying the advocacy shouldn't be there.
No, I don't think we're gonna,
I think maybe we need to bring it back again.
yeah, I think this is gonna come back again. I think we've opened up, so could you put together a general synopsis of what we have, discussed tonight? And then, because I don't think we've really brought up anything that's kind of crazy or outlandish, right? We've just kind of brought up some concerns.
So the Bennington County Child Advocacy Center, they're a private group, right? They're not like a state-run
I would just,
organization.
as an example, because it has advocacy in the title, that's why
Right.
it popped
Well,
in.
no, I'm just trying to see if I can draw a distinction between state and federal, sponsored groups versus private.
I don't know, I just never looked at it, that word like that, but I can see Bob's point.
Right, there's points, there's pros and cons here all the way through, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. I think we need to figure out what is the limiting principle? Because if we just say that this is a good organization, let's do it, then you've opened the door to others that we may not agree with.
Exactly. So I think if you put together a general synopsis of stuff we discussed tonight, and we bring it back again, at the 14th, 2 weeks from tonight. And then we'll discuss it again and bring it back again, I'm sure.
Okay.
This one's gonna take a while. I really believe that, because I think Bob's absolutely correct.
You don't have people knocking on your door, do you? For use of space yet?
No, but in about 6 months or so, I'll be ordering kitchen stuff. Within 6 months, but yeah, we have time.
Okay.
Does that sound all right, Bob, bringing it back on the 14th with, gives us,
What's the wording you use, Bob? Limiting factor, is that?
Well, some limiting factors or limiting principles, and think about it from that standpoint. Think about somebody you want to use the space, and what is it about them that makes them different from somebody else that we may not want to use that space? And it can't be that we like one and don't like the other. It has to be something that we can put in a policy, and not play favorites. And it was the whole idea of not playing favorites is why I thought the advocacy shouldn't be there. Because when you're advocating for something, there's always an alternative viewpoint.
On our ballot, isn't there some that say advocacy or no? There are,
okay.
yeah.
So I don't know if this is gonna make a difference to anybody, but the Child Advocacy Center is a the third SIU in the state of Vermont, Special Investigation Unit, like they are a part of that, so they are an official state sanctioned entity versus a private group. At least if I'm reading this correctly.
I just think, yeah, I think
I mean, the whole advocacy in their name thing, I'm just saying like
it could be, it's kind of a gray area of whether it's a,
it'd be, to me, at that point, it's almost no different than letting DCF host a day thing in the town, you know.
okay.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's not the word advocacy that I'm opposed to. It's the activity. So if Brian, what you're saying is true, and if that's accurate, and I guess we got to look at it a little deeper.
Well, I mean, if you look at their timeline,
if that organization is actually part of the state, then they're not a private group, and they can probably use the space, right? If that's true, and if that's what we decide.
Right, so we could put that wording in there if it's an advocacy group that's a state or federal.
Well, I would put the wording of no advocacy and then maybe in parentheses or something next to it, or with an exception of government, of official government organizations.
Okay. All right. I think we gotta start better than we had. Any public comment, Hannah?
Yep, Jim has his hand up.
Hello, people. Jim Kosas, North Mason Hill Road. Hey, I'm just going back to the appraisal. I mean, I'd really like to maybe have you just double check on the requirement of inside inspection. Based on what a comment was made, and I won't mention who made the comment, but based on the comment that was made, if it's not required and I don't need to let that appraisal guy come into my home, I'll be the first one right now to say he's not going to step inside my home. But I don't know how you're going to do an accurate appraisal without knowing the number of rooms that are inside. I can tell them as many as I want, or any other information that might have happened within the last 12 years or 11 years. So I'd really appreciate you guys getting a clarification from NEMRIC if you picked them as the vendor to take care of the appraisal, what the requirements will be. And also, if it is required that an inspection is needed and someone refuses, what are the mechanisms that they will use to come up with a fair value of that property? Thank you very much.
Jim, everything's outlined in their appraisal.
Okay. Does it say
Proposal
inside?
for appraisal.
Does it say interior?
Is it on the
inspection?
website, Tara?
I'm not sure that it is yet, but Hannah, will you put it in the board packet for? Right.
Okay, if it already addresses interior inspections are not required, I just wanted to make sure it's addressed in their appraisal. If not, I think it needs to be clarified.
In my opinion, I think that's a good question. I think we just need to be upfront and open with whatever the methodology is. And then if the town knows what the methodology is, they can agree, disagree, or see, or voice any concerns.
Thank you, Bob.
But I think, and the reason I was hot on NEMRIC is because we've been using them for years, and they're our go-to for the appraisals.
Nothing against the vendor that you picked. I just wanted to make sure whatever vendor it is, it does specify yes or no interior inspection involved. And if someone doesn't allow it, how do you go about getting a fair market value? Thank you.
Yep.
So it says right in the appraisal for property inspections.
I can answer it, right, I'll answer, I was looking at this, Jim, I can answer this for you right now.
Okay.
NEMRIC will inspect all real property in Pownal. This includes both exterior and interior inspections when provided access to the interior of the dwelling. NEMRIC will assist the listers in determining the area for mailing an inspection notification prior to completing inspection in a given area. The lister's office will complete the mailing notification. Property owner is now home at the time of the original inspection. A card stating that a visit was made and how to make an appointment for an inspection will be left at the time of each visit. the Lister's office will contact property owners and make appointments for the property inspections. Notice may be sent to property owners that need an inspection with information on how to make an appointment.
So I think the outstanding question then, and sorry, I'm talking for you, Jim,
It's all right.
is what if what's not addressed there is if a property owner explicitly says, I don't want you to come in my house. And so maybe that's just a question out to NEMRIC, is how do they handle that?
Yeah, I'm trying to skim through here and
There's a couple of things. One, there's an OPDV. NEMRIC will utilize the online property data verification system for the reappraisal. This process allows the property owners to verify their property data using an online system. Any discrepancies can be reported to the staff for correction or an inspection. So you can, I'm assuming you could use that to tell them what like the layout of your house is if there's been changes. I did read another
Come on,
part
Brian.
where- Whoop.
No, he's just
That is
reading
a
it.
touch
He's
screen.
just reading it, Jim.
Mhm, okay.
Yeah, I know I read the whole part about
anything in
that
there.
it's
Yeah.
optional. Do not
I don't
have to
wanna-
let them in.
I don't
I
want to
can-
dwell on this tonight. I mean, you've talked about enough stuff. So, I mean, I just wanted to clarify that because it will be an important item that comes up when people have someone knocking on their door and saying, we want to see the inside of your house so we can just do a reappraisal. How is everyone going to handle that? So that's it.
Well, that's a good question. We can talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the answer is, Jim, but I know that I'm sure it's not the first time they've had that situation pop up, that's for sure.
Oh, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's just good to have after 11 years and a lot of things have changed in town that all the townspeople have an understanding of what you are allowed to say, what you're allowed not to show, and what you can do during a reappraisal. So,
Well, yeah, and the understanding that some people have is not the law, but that's okay, right? We all know that because they, you know,
no,
some
that's true.
people,
Some
people make up their own law, so we'll figure that out.
I just wanted to get away from that one comment that said that you don't have to allow someone into your property. So,
Well, I don't think you do, but,
okay.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not, that's, you
We'll
know,
get that question.
that's above my pay grade.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks, Jim.
Any more public comment, Hannah?
I don't see any other hands.
No more? I'll entertain a motion to, enter executive for personnel.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
Angie, I.
bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Brian, I.
Mike, aye. Angie has one thing before we adjourn.
I just want to remind everybody that this Saturday is the 4th annual Pownal holiday tree lighting at 4 o'clock. We're going to have the elementary chorus, hot cocoa and cookies. At 4:30, Santa arrives. At 5 o'clock is going to be the dedication to Dick Singleton, and the lights are going to be lit on the tree. And also face painting starts at 3:30. And then in case there's bad weather, we will have a makeup day on 12/3 Sunday. So hopefully everybody can come and see the pre-lights. Thank you.
I'd like to make one comment on that tree lighting. I think this year I'd like to see obviously I'd like to see a big turnout, but having the dedication to
Mr. Singleton.
Mr. Singleton, one of our teachers, from this elementary school who taught there for, I don't know how many
Over
years.
40
but
years.
I'll be 60 in June. He was my teacher.
He was my
When
teacher.
I was there, so.
Yep.
I hear Mr. Jones will be,
Mr. Jones is
That's
gonna
right.
be lighting the tree, and he also has a poem that he,
Yeah, Willie Jones, you know, will be there, you know, was a
Another longtime
coworker.
teacher.
Yes, those are Pownal people that lived here and worked here their whole career. And I know that there is a significant number of residents in this town who had him or their children had him for a teacher, so, and he was an incredible teacher. So I'd really like to see a monster turnout just for that,
I agree.
just for that reason, so. On that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Angie, I.
Bye-bye.
Ryan, I.
Mike, aye. Thank you everyone for attending and, hope everyone's there Saturday afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bob.
Night, Bob.
You, good night.
Good night.